Uzbekistan and Jordan have secured their spot in next year's World Cup, but who, of course, will get a little bit closer this time around. We're heading into match number 10, and my predictions are coming at you next. That's right, folks, back once again with another prediction video. Today we're taking a look at match day number 10, that's right, over in the AFC. Of course, to see who, of course, will qualify for the World Cup. We've got a few spots remaining, as, of course, the third round of the qualification matches come to a close. But that doesn't mean it's all over. We still got a round 4 to look forward to, and that's, of course, going to head into the 4. We'll get to all of that and more in a second. You know where you've been. Smash your subscribe and your one-stop shop for Blackburn Rovers, world football, Asian football. We're going to all here under one roof. Of course, the important thing is Indonesia are still in it, guys, of course, securing their spot in that 4th round. I think we might get the calculator out, see if they still can do a little bit better than that. But anyway, what we do now, though, is revisit my results and my picks last time around, which was, of course, just the other day, and then look forward to the next round of games, of course. So here we go, if I can do it. We got to do a little bit of jiggery pokery here. All right, then, folks, on the screen there, you should see the score lines and my predictions. Of course, my predictions are on the right-hand side. The real score was on the left. So let's get into it. Kicking on off with the draw, UAE 0-0. Final score, I went with a 1-1 draw there. Of course, that point secures Uzbekistan's position in 2026 World Cup. I am delighted. Let me go to the big screen on this one for just 1 second. I'm a big fan of Uzbekistan. I was there for at least a week. I know it's a little bit random. Maybe it was more than a week. It must have been longer than a week. But we got a soft spot for Uzbekistan. I'm elated that they're there. And of course, they can be a bit of a surprise package. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they do in the grand scheme, of course, next summer. Meanwhile, North Korea picked up a 2-2 draw against Kyrgyzstan. I went with a 0-0 draw. Qatar did beat Iran 1-0. I went with the away win. Oman lost to Jordan, of course, to secure their spot. Jordan over there. I went with a 2-1 home win. Palestine with a 2-0 win over Kuwait. I went the other way. Iraq did lose to South Korea. I went with a 2-2 draw. Australia did beat Japan 1-0. I went with a 2-1 win myself. Not too shabby. And Indonesia did pick up that all-important, massively humongous 1-0 win over China. So respect to my Indonesian brothers there, 2-0 winners I went with. And then, of course, Saudi Arabia did beat Bahrain 2-0. I went with a draw. So what does that mean in the grand scheme of things? Well, let's have a look at it on the table right here right now. I'm going to go through the groups here, starting with Group A. We know Iran and Uzbekistan are there. They couldn't be caught. Meanwhile, UAE and Qatar also cannot be caught, and they will be in the 4th round of the qualifiers. Now, that does, I think right now, we'll kind of talk about that in a minute. Yeah, let's kick it on forward then. South Korea are also there, as are Jordan. They cannot be caught, which means Iraq and Oman are in the driving seat to be in that 4th round, but they're not there yet. So that needs to be settled. And of course, when you look at it, it is far from over with Palestine could squeak in there. And of course, Oman or Iraq could both slip out. Goal difference is also quite negligible there. And then to Group C, we know Japan are there. So Indonesia cannot go into 2nd spot here. So it is a coin flip right now between Australia and South Saudi Arabia. Australia have the superior goal difference, so you probably would think they were there, which means Saudi Arabia and Indonesia will go into that fourth round to see if they can get out of it. So we'll see how that pans out whenever they come back into action. But these are the next round of games, folks, and they're coming at you pretty fast on the market. Actually, we're looking at Tuesday the 10th of June, so around about then anyway. So before all that, let's we're going to jump straight into the deep end with that. And we kick it all off with a trip to Kyrgyzstan, that's right. And it is on the 10th of June, the Dolan Uzmuskov Stadium, that's right. Kyrgyzstan are 42% form for them right now, just 1 win in the last 5 matches. Against the UAE, who are, of course, coming in is also on the back of just 1 win in the last 6 matches. They played 3 times since 2019, nothing for Kyrgyzstan, 3 wins for the UAE, and there's been no draws. Now, of those 3, UAE's high scoreline was a 3-0 win, scoring 7 goals in those 3 matches, picking up a 2.33 goals a game on average. Meanwhile, Kyrgyzstan yet to get a win. They've got 2 goals, though, in those 3 matches, 0.67 goals a game on average. UAE, like I said, 3 wins, 3 matches against the opposition, and they've won all of them, including the reverse fixture, a 3-0 win way back in November 2024. However, they have yet to play in Kyrgyzstan, so that could be a deciding factor. And speaking of that, Kyrgyzstan's last couple of matches, in fact, the last 3 have been quite fruitful for the host. They've won 2 and they lost 1. They only lost the 1 against high-flying Iran, so maybe that will be a talking point. Meanwhile, UAE's last away match was a 2-1 win away to the Korean Democratic Republic of Of course, that was back on the 25th of March. So can they get another win on their locker here? I'm not sure. I've got no odds on this one, so we're going to have to go with my gut. My gut does say it's going to be a tight one. I'm going to go a 2-1 away win here, UAE, to, of course, give them a bit of a spark as the campaign comes to a close. Meanwhile, we're going to go Uzbekistan up against Qatar. Coming to the Bunyonka Stadium. I'm delighted for Uzbekistan, who can come into this with a bit of joy, with a bit of spring in their step, because they've secured the spot. Might mix it up a little bit up against the Qatar side. Of course, 50% form for them right now. 1-2, lost 2, and drawn 2 over the last 6. And I played Uzbekistan 15 times since 2006. 10 wins for the hosts, 5 wins for the visitors. There's been no draws. Uzbekistan do have a 5-1 win on their record. They've got 26 goals scored against Qatar and 1.73 goals a game. Meanwhile, Qatar, 3-0 winners for them on their record. 16 goals scored in the 15, 1.07 goals a game. The Uzbekistanis coming into this unbeaten in the last 5 against, well, just in their journey right here, right now. But the last match that these two sides played in this very venue, or at this in this country here, was a 2-0 win for Uzbekistan way back in October 2018. The reverse fixture in Qatar way back in November 2024, 3-2 win as it was for Qatar way back when. Uzbekistan on the back of that 0-0 draw away to UAE, a massive point over the line. They just needed the point. They got it there in the end. It's actually been back-to-back away points for Uzbekistan. The last time they were at home, though, they picked up a 1-0 win over Kyrgyzstan. Meanwhile, Qatar on the back of that 1-0 win over Iran. That's too little too late for them. And again, home form's great. Away form's a bit sloppy, with, of course, winless in the last 3 on the road. Yet again, got no odds, but I'm backing my boys here, backing my Uzbekistanis, 2-0 winners to take it to the house. Let's go to the next one. It's Iran up against the Korean Democratic Republic. That's right, coming at you also on the 10th of June at the Inman Aritsa Stadium. Iran coming into this 75% form for them right now, back-to-back games without a win. Up against the Korean Republic here, 8% form for them, winless in the last 6. Speaking of 6, they have played 6 times in 2005, 5 wins. Iran, nothing for Korea, and 1 draw between the two sides. Iran have a 2-0 win on the record. They got 9 goals in those 6 matches, 1.50 goals a game. As for the opposition, they've just scored the 3 goals in those 6 matches, 0.5 goals a game. Last time around at this very venue was a 1-0 win for Iran way back in January 2011. Now, the reverse fixture was a 3-2 win for Iran in wherever they hosted that match. I'm sure it wasn't in North Korea. Back in November 2024. Iran on the back of that 1-0 loss to Qatar. They, in fact, last win was at home, was a 2-0 win against the UAE way back in March. As for the Democratic Republic of Korea, last match was a 2-2 draw in the home dugout there, 2-2 against Kyrgyzstan. So we'll see how they get on this time around. Meanwhile, the bookies odds we have done once again. We've got to back Iran, though, because North Korea have been hopeless and toothless. 3-0 win. In the end, let's go to South Korea then, as they take on Kuwait. That's right, coming at you the Seoul World Cup Stadium. Korea, 75% form for them right now, unbeaten in at least the last 6 up against Kuwait, who are winners in 5. Of course, 33% form for them. And they've played South Korea 8 times since 2005. The hosts winning 7 of them, Kuwait winning none of them. There's been 1 draw between the two sides. Now, the South Koreans have a 4-0 win on the record. They got 17 goals scored in those 8 matches, 2.13 goals a game on average. Kuwait, though, yet to get the win, scored 2 goals against them in their 8 matches. That's 0.25 goals a game. Now, the last time that these two sides played at this very venue, or in South Korea, was a 2-0 win way back in February 2012. The reverse fixture this campaign, 3-1 winners it was for Korea over in Kuwait. Kuwait on the back of that 2-0 loss to Palestine. South Korea on the back of that 2-0 away win to Iraq. And we do have odds on this one. Odds coming at you 9-1 on for Kuwait. 7-1 is the draw. 22-1 is, of course, the away win here. We're going to back Korea. Of course, we are 2-0 winners. They're already there. Again, they're going to mix it up a little bit, I would imagine. Palestine are next up. They're taking on Oman. That's around the 10th of June. King Abdullah II Stadium, or King Abdullah II Stadium, however you want to call it. Palestine coming into 50% form for them on back-to-back wins, of course, looking pretty good. Form book-wise, up against Oman, who are 50% form as well. 1-2 lost to and drawn 2 over the last 6, but just 1 win in the last 4. They played Palestine 5 times to 2012. 1 win for Palestine, 4 wins. Oman, no draws. That's right. Oman's one and only 4. They have got the 4 wins. There are 1-0-ers, so not the greatest. They scored 7 goals in those 5 games, 1.40 goals a game. Palestine, though, have a 2-1 win. That's the one and only win over Oman, picking up 4 goals in those 5 matches, 0.80 goals a game. Now, the last time that these two sides played in Palestine, it was a 2-1 win way back in June 2017. Of course, they did play in this campaign already. It was in Oman. It was a 1-0 win way back in November 2024. In fact, Oman have won 3 on the spin against them, but all of those appear to be in Oman. Oman on the back of that 3-0 loss to Jordan. Palestine on the back of that 2-0 win over Kuwait. back-to-back wins, of course, beating Iraq as well not too long ago. So they might have just got a last-minute surge here to see where they if they can get online. No odds for this one, though. So we're going with our gut. This one's tight. Does smell like it could be a draw, but I go 2-1 away win for Oman, just against the run of play. Meanwhile, we're going to go Jordan next up against Iraq. That's coming at you at the Amman International Stadium. Jordan secured their spot in the World Cup. Yes, they did. 50% form for them right now. Just one defeat in the last 5 up against Iraq, who have just gone off the bloody boil. They were looking phenomenal at one stage, but they're winners in the last 5. They played 13 times each other since 2011. 2 wins Jordan, 7 wins Iraq. 4 draws between the two sides. Jordan with a 2-0 win. That's their biggest, scoring 14 goals in those 13 games, 1.08 goals a game. Iraq, though, they have a 7-5 win on the record. They got 20 goals scored in those 13 matches, 1.54 on average. I don't. That 7-5 is a bit of a bonky one. Last time that they played in Jordan, I'm thinking, I don't even know. I'm looking at a 0-0 draw here. That's way back in November 2020. There might be a penalty shootout, something going on in 2023. Not too sure. But they did play in Iraq way back in November 2024. It was a 0-0 draw. Iraq go on the back of that 2-0 loss to Korea. And the last victory was a 1-1 win against Yemen. A long time ago. Goodness gracious, they've really gone off the ball. Meanwhile, Jordan on the back of that 3-0 win of Oman did secure their spot in the World Cup. No odds for this one here. Going to go with a 2-1 win for Jordan to celebrate once again. They're in party mood, and they'll do their ting once again, brother. Next up, we go Japan. They're up against my boys, Indonesia. Of course, I'm in a couple of camps here, Uzbekistan, but I'm definitely in the Indonesian camp right here and now. At the Panasonic Stadium, Suita, that's right. Japan, of course, top of the pops. They've qualified for a long time, but back-to-back games now without a win. Up against an Indonesian side coming into on back-to-back wins with Clive in the dugout. And I thought they can't really go any further, so this could be a bit of a dead rubber. But morale-boosting wise, a win for Indonesia would do them the world of good heading into that 4th round. But of course, they kind of get much better than where they are at the moment. Now, they played twice since 2024. Japan have won 2 of them. Picking up a 4-0 win, their biggest, scoring 7 goals in those 2 matches, 3.50 goals a game on average. Up against Indonesia, yet to get the win. 1 goal scored in those 2. Not very good. 0.5 goals a game. Now, they did play in Japan way back in January 2024. It was a 3-1 win for Japan in the Asian Cup. A long time ago. Meanwhile, 4-0 win as it was in the reverse fixture in Indonesia back in November, so not great. However, Indonesia on the back of back-to-back 1-0 wins, back-to-back home clean sheets, up against the Japanese, who have played 2 or back-to-back games now without a goal for them. They've kind of gone off the boil, but they have secured qualification. They are playing around with a few players. Yuki Ohashi's in there, and kudos to him. But of course, Indonesia, again, this one's a weird one because Japan are top. They're probably going to play a rotated squad. Indonesia cannot bet themselves. Why risk injuring any players in this match? But of course, morale stuff could actually give you a big old boost. The odds on this one are away against Indonesia. 92 on is Japan. 11-2 is the draw. 11-1 is the thing. I've gone a bit. I don't know. I've gone a bit sentimental here. I'm going to go with a cheeky 1-1 draw because it is one of those. Japan playing around with some players, playing around a bit of stuff. They've had to look a little bit not at their full kilt. The game against Australia was shit. Indonesia, though, are fighting for their lives. They don't need to fight as much. We might get the better out of Indonesia this time with the pressure off. They don't need to do nothing. They can just have fun, enjoy the game, take some lessons, and then get ready for that important 4th round games where at the moment it looks like they've got a chance. They've definitely got a chance. So I've got to go with a draw here. Next time we go China against Bahrain. That's coming at you at the Changchongqing Olympic Stadium in China. 4 defeats on the spin for China, 33% form for them. Up against Bahrain, 3 defeats on the spin for them. And they played each other 3 times since 2010. 1 win China, nothing for Bahrain. 2 draws between the 2 sides. China do have that 1-0 win on the record. They got 2 goals scored in those 3, 0.67 goals a game. Up against Bahrain, yet to get the win. Only 1 goal scored in 3 matches, 0.33 goals a game. Now, the last time that these 2 sides played, it was in Bahrain. It was back in November 2024. 1-0 win as it was for China. Back-to-back clean sheets for China against Bahrain. China, though, on the back of that 1-0 loss to Indonesia. They haven't scored a goal in the last 3. Up against Bahrain, who haven't scored in the last 3 themselves and have suffered 3 defeats on the bounce. Bookies it's very tight here. Bookies give it to China here, 27-20 for the victory, 11-5 is your away win, 21-10 is the draw. Of course, going to go with a 2-1 win on the road for Bahrain. against China, which of course will be something for the record books. And then finally, we have a bit of a ding-dong classic. It's Saudi Arabia against Australia, both competing for that last spot, the remaining spot in the World Cup in Group C here. Saudi Arabia on the back of 4 matches unbeaten now, just 1 defeat in the last 6 up against Australia. 3 wins on the spin, both coming into on 75% form. They played 8 times since 2011, just 1 win for Saudi Arabia, 4 wins for Australia. There's been 3 draws between the two sides. Saudi Arabia's one and only win was a 1-0 win. They got 10 goals scored in those 8 games, 1.25 goals a game. As for the Socceroos, 4-2 win was their biggest, 15 goals scored in the 8, 1.88 goals a game. Now, the reverse fixture was a 0-0 draw in Australia back in November 2024. Now, the last they played in Saudi Arabia, it was a 1-0 win for Saudi Arabia. In fact, Saudi Arabia are unbeaten against Australia over the last 3, and they haven't conceded the goal against them. But that's fine margins because there's only 1 goal scored in those last 3. Australia on the back of that 1-0 win over Japan, back-to-back clean sheets for them. They won 3 in the spin, looking very, very good. Saudi Arabia also on back-to-back wins. What am I looking at? Yeah, they're also on a good bit of form. They haven't conceded a goal in the last 4, have Saudi Arabia. So they're playing good under Hervé Renard. So this is going to be a tight one. The Saudi Arabians are favoured for the victory, and they need to win convincingly to overtake Australia. I think there's a 5-goal swing, so it's going to be like a 4-0 winner or 3 or 4-0 winner to do the damage. So it's a long shot. I think Saudi Arabia, well, they are 5-4 to win it. 5-2 is Australia. 21-10 is the draw. I think I'm going with a 2-1 away win for Australia. But really, looking at that, it does look like Saudis could do the business. That's my take. Let me know your thoughts, of course, as we look forward to the final round of games in round 3. We'll be back again for 4th round. Of course, maybe do a recap of the World Cup qualifiers as well over the summer. But anyway, that is about it. Make sure you subscribe, smash the like, catch you later. But until then, we are done.